Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Come say hi, Chili. Oi! Okay, this is my dog, Chili Guaro. Say hi to the camera. Here, you guys get to see how beautiful he is. He's a gorgeous dog. So today we're gonna be talking about scouting trips. You know, I like to share my life here on this channel too, so sometimes you got my little doggies who wanna play. There we go. Look how beautiful you are. So he actually came with the house. He came with the construction. Here's little Crystal. She's adorable. We love her. She's always a nice little special guest here on the channel. Okay, so today we're going to talk about scouting trips. Sorry for all the distracting dogs, but well, this is my life. Lots of animals. 3 dogs and a cat, plus a kid, and all the other chaos that we have going on here. But today we're going to talk about scouting trips here in Costa Rica. So why are they important for you to do? So if this is your first video of mine, I do help people move to Costa Rica. We'll get through this part quick, but I have to mention it because for a lot of you, this might be your first video that you're watching of mine. I help people move to Costa Rica. Me and my team, we work A to Z through all the logistics. We have really top-notch experts in each kind of field. So if you need to be connected with someone who we vetted, who we would send our own parents to, we got retreats. I got a new podcast that's come out. So lots of information down in the description below. You'll find some of my one-on-one services, which are Scouting Trip, our RelocateNow program, which is definitely our more one-on-one hands-on. And then I have the new DIY, do-it-yourself move to Costa Rica e-course down there. Like I said, we have our retreats podcast. And if you want to book a call with me, there is a link down below too. The only thing about booking a call is please make sure that you're actually ready to take action. Like you're ready to move, like you know that you're going to move, or you're ready to take a scouting trip. That would be when it's appropriate to talk to me. Otherwise, if you're just kind of in the research phase, trying to figure things out, not really sure, is it Costa Rica, is it Belize, is it Mexico? That's what all the free stuff online is for. I have so many videos on here. Plus, there's other channels here on YouTube that have a lot of really great content too. I mean, there's content everywhere. We're in the world of information. So please use that content to help yourself get to that point. Once you do, then it's time to talk to me. All right, so let's get into the content. So the importance of scouting trips. So we're going to go through some reasons why scouting trips are very important. So I personally did not do a scouting trip for my move. I probably should have, but if you guys have heard a lot of what I've discussed on this channel, we're talking about all the things that I did wrong that I shouldn't have done. And then that's why I do what I do, is to help make sure that you guys don't go through what I did. So I did not do a scouting trip. I Googled a picture of Costa Rica, thought I like the beach, sounds good to me. Never been anywhere further south than Florida, but decided why not. But the thing is, when I moved almost 9 years ago, I was at a very different stage of life than I am now. Now I have, a child, I have a family, I have responsibilities. When I moved, I was 23, fresh out of college, a year into working as a social worker, and just kind of woke up and was like, what in the heck am I doing with the rest of my life? I got to get out of here. And then that's what I did. So my circumstances were a lot different than a lot of people who were moving down. So we work with a lot of families, we work with retired people, we work with people nearing retirement, we work with couples, we work with singles. And so really, actually, we work with a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I've had even people, in their 70s and 80s who've moved down. So it is possible. People do it. So here's the importance of a scouting trip. Number one, taking a scouting trip down here to the country really gives you the opportunity to come see Costa Rica for yourself. Is it what you imagined? Because the thing is, you're probably reading about Costa Rica, you're looking at photos, but what if Costa Rica really isn't like what you imagined in your head? Like, what if you did imagine this country to be something that it's not? That's why it is so important that you do come down on these trips so that you can make sure that you do get a good feel, for the country, and it's not just something in your imagination of, you can come down and get an idea of what to actually expect, being here in the country. Okay, another thing about scouting trips, number 2, is, it gives you the opportunity to come into different areas. You can compare and contrast. I think it's a good idea to check out, multiple different areas. That way, okay, I liked this area due to XYZ. I didn't like XYZ. So you can really start to actually compare different areas of the country, different styles of living, climates, roads, communities. You can actually start comparing, everything, and you're not just coming down and checking out one area. So a trip is a good opportunity for you to come and see multiple different places and kind of be able to compare and contrast. Also, at the end of this video, I do want to note that I'm going to talk about, some of my top tips for planning a scouting trip, and I'll tell you exactly like what we do when we are planning someone's scouting trip. So if you do want to plan one on your own, I want you to keep these things in mind as you're planning it. Okay, another thing about a scouting trip is really, again, the importance is you coming to see for yourself, boots on the ground. You're seeing the culture, the climate, the community, the language. How do you feel about the language barrier? All the different things that Costa Rica really does have to offer. You need to come see these things, boots on the ground. Again, like you can read as many books or as many articles or look at as many pictures or videos as you want, but nothing's going to beat you actually being in the area, walking down the road. I do a lot of these area tours on my channel, which you can find a lot of them in a lot of different towns. But there's nothing like you just walking along the road yourself and just getting a good feel for everything as well for you. Okay, another thing is there are people that we worked with who've just come down. Again, like that just does happen. Or you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to spend the extra money on a trip. I'm just going to move. Again, you don't have to. I'm just saying these are some reasons why a scouting trip would be important. Like moving in general is it's kind of a big deal. Like if you are selling a home and you're downsizing and you're going through some huge, major logistics, then having the opportunity to come down on a trip to make sure that this is what you want to do, that's really important, that you actually are able to come down and make sure that this is the right move for you versus you just diving in head first, having gone through all these different logistics, and then you can come down and go, oh gosh, this isn't what I was expecting. What do I do now? I did all this stuff and this is crazy. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of my top tips. As I noted, I was going to tell you like exactly how I plan a scouting trip. So number one, when I'm talking to someone and planning a scouting trip, and what I want you to do if you're going to do this by yourself, but of course, if you want to help, you can let me know. The link will be in the description below. So what I do is first I dig in and really listen to the person's lifestyle. So I want you to grab a pen and a paper and start writing out things about yourself, your lifestyle. How do you imagine your day-to-day, your hobbies? What are you interested in an area, in a home? What kind of climate do you like? What kind of distance to medical? Gosh, the list goes on and on. I mean, it just really be as detailed as you can about like what you really want in an area and what you want your life to be and who you are and what you think is going to work for you and maybe what's not going to work for you. So the more I hear someone, like usually for me, the first 10 to 15 minutes of a session is maybe even 20 minutes is me just listening and understanding who this person is or the family dynamic, and that's the social worker in me, but really just hearing as much as I can so that I can understand from everything that you're telling me or everything that you're writing down for yourself. Okay, now what areas make sense? Where does this fit? And then you're going to want to actually target, okay, well, how much time do you think you're going to have in the country? So this will be step number 2. If you're pretty open and flexible, great. Then you just kind of leave it open. If you say, okay, I really only have a week or I only have 2 weeks, okay, then it's going to be a little bit more structured there. So then I try to figure out, okay, what does the person's duration look like? What timing do we have to work with? And then the next step I do is start to target areas as to where's going to be the best fit for you. Or maybe you want some of that contrast. Maybe you want to check out the beach, but you also want to check out the mountains. So making a list of towns that you know that you want to hit during your trip. And again, so that's for me, when I listen to someone and all about them and their personalities and their hobbies and things that are important to them, then I can pick, okay, here's the X areas that I'm picking for you. I like to call it the map on Zoom. And here's why. Or maybe here's why I'm choosing this area. Here's why I'm not choosing this other area. Or sometimes I'll say something, like let's say someone will be like, oh, I heard Guanacaste is really good. I want to check out Guanacaste. But then later in the conversation, they say, oh, I just really don't do well with heat though. And then I'm going to say, hey, just FYI, Guanacaste is the hottest, driest part of the entire country. So they might go, oh gosh, I didn't know that. Okay, let's look at other areas then. So make sure that there's nothing that you're not totally missing about each of these areas. Again, if you're doing this on your own. So I can usually just kind of pinpoint where I think someone should go and explain why or why not. If you're doing this on your own, definitely do that research into the climate, into the different things that you wrote about yourself that are important to you in an area, and make sure that those areas do have those things. What else? There's some other, okay. Now, for how long should you stay in each area? I mean, gosh, some people's scouting trips will be 3 months. They could be 3 days. It could be 6 months, or it could be a month, or it could be 10 days. So really, it's really up to you and your flexibility, your budget, obviously, for your trip. and yeah, how long you're able to be here. So what I would do, so the next thing that I do, so once I've heard about the person's lifestyle, once I've kind of figured out around the duration they're going to have here, and then once we're able to pinpoint and target the areas that we think that they should be visiting, the next step would be to think about, what do you want to do and see in each area in order to help you make decisions of if that's a right area that you want to live. So again, that's like, think about your day-to-day living. Don't think about touristy things. Also for accommodation, my tip would be, don't stay in a hotel. I mean, you can if you want, like you can do whatever you want, really. You can go zip lining if you want to. Do whatever you want, it's your trip. But I'm saying, if you really want a decent living experience, like to see, okay, what would it be like to live here? Then I suggest that you go see and do things that you would do if you were to live in Costa Rica. Think about what is your day to day actually look like. So if you wake up and then you, I don't know, do XYZ and you work from your computer, or you want to go for a walk on the beach in the morning with your dog. Okay, maybe you don't have your dog on the trip, but okay, well, you wake up, you go for the walk on the beach in the morning. Then maybe you want to go to a coffee shop. Just do actual day-to-day things. Maybe you have hobbies, like you like to go to the gym a lot, or you like to do a yoga class, or maybe you're interested in starting new hobbies. There's new ones that you'd like to start after moving. So why don't you try one of those out? So I would encourage you to do day-to-day activities that you would do if you actually lived in an area. At the minimum. So another thing, so yeah, it's a lot. Scouting trips are a lot. And it always ends up being a lot of research for us. So this usually takes us hours and hours of research to put together a trip for someone. So next step would be, okay, thinking of the things that you want to see and do in each area. Some of it might be going to a variety of grocery stores in a particular area, checking out the pharmacy, so checking out some of your day-to-day life activities, going to practice taking money out of a bank. I mean, list could go on. Farmers markets, that's always one. People, I want to know where the farmers markets are and what day they are. So that's great. Definitely go hit up the farmers markets, but do some more of the day-to-day activities. Also, arranging a meetup with someone can be really helpful. So for us, like when we have someone coming down on a scouting trip, like one of our pending tasks is always like, usually someone wants to meet up in person with another client that we might have in an area. And we have people all over the country. So we have a few that are really open and fine to meet up with people that, hey, we have this person coming down on a trip to your area. Like, would you mind if they reached out to you to grab a coffee? And usually they're like, yeah, of course. They're welcome to talk to me. So yeah, that's I would say arranging a meetup with someone would be good, so you can actually talk to someone who lives in the area. If you can't do that, perhaps going to a coffee shop or some local hangout spots and trying to see, hey, oh, do you live here full time? It would be nice to try to talk to some people who live full time in the area, maybe pick their brain a little bit if they're open to it. Again, we want to be like respectful of other people. And what else? Okay, so what's the whole steps here? So first, you think about your lifestyle and your day-to-day activities. Then we're choosing, okay, how much time do we have on the trip? Then we're choosing the areas that we're going to visit. And then based off of the things that you want to see and do in each area, then you have about how many days do you want to spend in each area? Because okay, how many days is it going to be for you to accomplish these things that you want to see and do? Sometimes there's some clients who want to see rental properties or they want to see real estate. So okay, like we need to give a few days for that. Or some days it's like, okay, we really just need a day driving around this one town and then we can move on to the next because we just want to drive around and look at some neighborhoods. And then the last step is research. So again, well, that's usually us. We have like a list of pending tasks. So based off of what the person would tell us they want in real estate or a rental, then we'll point out certain neighborhoods for them to visit. Okay, the certain grocery stores, the farmers markets, the particular activities. So maybe you're not going to get to do all of those things in your scouting trip, but at least know that the area has the things that you want. And that's pretty much it. Like those are, I guess, my major tips. So these would be the things as to why I do think that why a scouting trip is important. Because again, nothing beats you being boots on the ground. And then the other part was me explaining exactly how we plan a trip and what I want you to think about if you're going to be planning a trip on your own, here to Costa Rica. And of course, if you do want our assistance and help with this, I always do it's an hour and a half session. Usually takes me about an hour and a half with the person to get through all the nuts and bolts of everything of their trip. Of course, we arrange things like the car rental, which I can usually get really good deals on. Sometimes that actually ends up paying for your scouting trip, the scouting trip service, the savings that we got in the car rental, which is awesome. The meetups, arranging those meetups with our own clients. So we do the hour and a half session together, and then I have a long list of pending tasks that we're working for just to make sure everything with the trip comes together nicely, smooth, get all the, travel insurance, car rental, or making sure that you know the transportation options. We, of course, do all those nuts and bolts, but a lot of it's just like all the research that you can really also carry on with you for your move. And then for us, let's say if someone does a scouting trip and then they move on to the relocation, I take what they paid for the scouting trip and I apply it as a discount towards the relocation. So that's already fun because, we've already kind of made that rapport together and, developed more of a relationship with that. Okay, so hopefully this information was helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video, as always. And all the information that we talked about, is in the description below about the retreats. We have another retreat coming up. Woo! Love that. New podcast. Excited about that too. I don't know, all of our services, lots and lots of things for you to keep you busy below. If you're going down the Costa Rica rabbit hole, definitely subscribe to this channel if you're not already. And I'll keep producing hopefully helpful content for you. All right. I will see you guys in the next video. And if you need info on scouting trips, that'll be below too.